Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to episode number 147 here on season 1. And today we are getting into my thoughts on General Electric or GE symbol on the stock market. This question comes from Tim Fizer, and he asked, should I let GE go or keep it? And this question kind of came from, I did another video in which I talked about my long-term buying strategy, or when I buy stocks that are undervalued and how I do that on a different video, and I just so happened that GE popped up, and that was the one that I used to talk about whether it was undervalued or overvalued and whether I would buy it or not. So just a quick little disclaimer, this is my personal opinion on the actual stock. You can take it or leave it, but I'm not responsible whether you make a gain or lose a gain. But this is, like I said, this is my personal opinion, and this is just to help educate you guys on how I look at stocks and that kind of thing. So anyways, first of all, what I'm going to do is, I already kind of did this last time, but real quick rundown, they got $8 billion in net income, $8 billion about shares outstanding, net to share ratio of about 0.94, so about $1 to every share that you have. That times 15 equals around 14. That would be my entry price on the stock. So no, I'm not going to buy the stock, plain and simple. If you look at it though, if you go up to about 20, if you could get in there, I would assume that it's still, that's going to be a little bit more risky buy, but it's definitely not too risky. And then right now it's trading about $22 per share. So right now it's trading at, on this, yeah, it's trading around 2014. So it's a little bit less than 22. It's not quite 21 yet, but I think it did dip down to 21 per share. But I'm looking at specifically only 15. That's where I set my price at. Yes, they do pay a dividend yield, or pay a dividend. They've been paying it since the 60s of 4.77%. So that's actually really good for a big company like that. Their total assets is going to be about $365 billion, but I'm more concerned about their current assets, which is $209 billion plus. So their actual current assets is $157 billion, plus their like long-term real estate investments or property investments, which will add that to $209 billion. Their total liabilities is $286 billion, which equates to asset versus liabilities of negative $77 billion. Which gives you a -8, almost -$9 per share. However, their total assets versus liabilities is positive $78 billion, and that gives you about a $9 per share. So, if it was that, if this number was around 20, then I would consider buying, just because their asset to share ratio is outrageous, and basically, if their business was to go under, you could almost still make a little bit of money. But because their current assets versus their total liabilities is -8, that means that if they were to go bankrupt today, you would lose money, and you should actually be paying someone about $9 for every share that you hold. So anyways, as the owner of a company, I don't like the fact that they have a negative. But let's go ahead and actually look at the balance sheet and the wrap sheet. So what I want to kind of focus on real quick is, I do like the fact that they have been generating a gross profit of positive, so they've been growing. They're a growing company over the last 3 years. Quarterly, same thing. It looks like they've been growing since around. They've definitely had growth over the last 3 quarters, and they broke their 2016 in September 30th. So I do like that. Let's go back to the annual. I more like to focus on the annual. This is good that they're getting some growth there. I don't know what happened here. I don't really like that, but it's good that they definitely returned back. That goes to show you that they're a good company, that they can definitely, lose some money and then go back. And then here, yeah, so it looks like they made about half the net income that they did in 2014, but at least there's not a negative that they took in 2015. Which is why the stock is where it's at right now. Their total current assets, it dropped a little bit right here, which kind of is a little bit concerning. A lot of it has to do with their short-term. No, they took on more short-term. I think it has to do with their cash and cash equivalents. So they've been spending a lot more cash there, and they also, where is it? Minority, down here, yeah. Boom, 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 right here. So they have been definitely taking care of their liabilities right here, which is good. And the reason why this liability is so much lower than the rest of them is because they basically minority interest right here. Nah, it's yeah. So that's one reason why they were able to cut it in half. They had $8 billion over here, boom, and they took it down. But it looks like they've been paying down a lot of their debt, which is definitely helpful. Their short-term debt is lower than it was the last 2 years, so I like that. And then the other liabilities are also down, so that's positive on both long-term and current. But I don't like the fact that their net tangible assets right now is negative $11 billion. And lastly, on the cash flow, what I want to talk about the cash flow is, first of all, this right here, number is negative, and it's because they changes in other operating activities. And what the heck does that mean? You would have to do some more research to find out what other operating activities they did to go from a positive $7 billion to a negative $12 billion. So I don't like the fact that that number right there went up so high and caused a negative, but maybe they feel like they need to like increase marketing or whatever to help generate revenue going on into 2018, which is fine. They're a big company. They probably understand what the heck they're doing, I would hope. But what I want to talk about is changes in cash equivalent right here. Sell or purchase of stock. So it would have been nice if they would have been able to get less than that number. But as far as investors go, this is great right here when you see this kind of number. Basically what that means is that the company is buying back their shares, because most of the time they buy them back because they feel like they're undervalued, so they buy them at an undervalued price. Their stock goes up, then they can put those shares back on the market, and thus generating revenue for the company. So it's a great idea, or it's a decent idea for a company to help generate profits. But as far as an investor, it helps for long-term investors, because what it does is it increases the value of your stock, because it pulls stock off the table, and then it also increases the dividend percentage that you're going to get paid. So looking at that, basically how it increases the dividend is they're paying right now about an $8 billion in dividends. So to simplify it, basically if there was 2 shares that GE offered and 2 people own those shares, and they paid $1 per share, or $1 dividend in total, each share would get 50 cents. However, if GE bought one of those shares back and said it's undervalued, we want it back, and then they paid that $1 dividend, you would get the entire dollar. So you would get more bang for the money that you invested. So as far as a long-term hold, that's a good thing when you see that. And also the company typically feels like their stock, like I had already said, is undervalued, and they see that their company growth is going to come here soon. So that's something positive to look at. So as far as the question of would I buy into the stock, the answer is no, and there's a few reasons for that. First of all, it's not at $14 per share, and then second of all, my long-term holds, I can only allocate about $14 to that share, or I can only allocate about $4 to that share. And right now, my dividend stocks, I'm up $11, so I can't buy any with that. So likely, it's a no buy for me unless it hit 14, and then I would just go ahead and go for it. And use some of my swing trading money to go ahead and buy that and just hold it and take less on my swing trades. But as far as setting a stop loss on that, I would look at setting, it depends what price you got in at. If you got it around 20, like I think even if you got it at $22, that's like 25%. So you're looking at still pretty healthy price. I would definitely consider setting a stop loss at about 10 to 20% lower than what you bought in at. So if you got in at $23, set it at like $2.30 less than that. So you would actually probably sell there. I would maybe even consider 20%. It depends how long you plan on holding that stock. But the nice thing is that basically if you hold it for the entire year, you're probably going to generate $1 off that stock. So the stock price for you. If you got it at $23, you could justify and say, well, it's now at $22. And if you hold it for 24 years, you might be looking at generating be able to buy another whole stock. So that's definitely something to be looking at as well. Their dividend yield is definitely really high. So that's a strong, that's probably the strongest part about that stock right now from what I see. But anyways, let's go ahead and dive into the question of the day, and that is, should I ask her out? And yes, you should. You'll never know if she likes you or wants to go out with you unless you ask. So I don't say be a creeper about the way that you ask, but definitely like get her number or whatever and see if she wants to go out with you, even if it's just for a cup of coffee. Sparks could fly, magic could happen, and next thing you know, you guys are in a dating relationship. So anyways, if you guys like these kind of stock reviews, especially for long term, feel free to smash that like button. And if I see a ton of likes, I'll definitely come out with more of these going on from here. But if you guys have any questions regarding Stash, Acorns, or Robinhood, as well as general investing advice, business, Etsy, or coaching, post those questions down below, and I will try my best to get them on the next episode. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe up here and check out my video on how do I pick long-term stocks. And check out this other video right here. And as always, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it.